Top 10 Cool Facts About Space. There is still so minimal thought about space by present-day science, yet of that little we do know, there are some exceptionally astonishing things. This is a rundown of the best 10 cool realities about space. Number 10. Cold welding. Fact: if two pieces of metal touch in space, they become permanently stuck together. This may sound fantastic, however it is valid. Two bits of metal with no covering on them will frame into one piece in the vacuum of room. This doesn't occur on Earth on the grounds that the air puts a layer of oxidized material between the surfaces. This may appear as though it would be a major issue on the space station, yet as most devices utilized there have originated from Earth, they are as of now covered with material. Indeed, the main proof of this seen so far has been in tests intended to incite the response. This procedure is called cold welding. Number 9. Lightweight. The thickness of Saturn is low to such an extent that if you somehow managed to place it in a monster glass of water it would skim. The genuine thickness of Saturn is 0.687 grams per cc, while the thickness of water is 0.998 grams per cc. At the equator, Saturn has a span of 60,268 plus or minus 4 kilometers, which implies you would require a very enormous glass of water to test this out. Number 8. Sunspot music. Fact: sunspot activity may be the primary reason for the beautiful sound of Stradivarius violins. Antonio Stradivari is viewed as the best violin creator ever. He lived in Italy in the 17th and 1800s of years. Researchers have been not able to work out what it is about his violins that makes them so unimaginable, however they do realize that the timbre used to make them is a significant contributing variable. From the 1500s to 1800s, the Earth experienced a little ice age for the most part because of expanded volcanic action and diminished sun-powered movement. This is known as the Maunder minimum. Because of this cooling, the sorts of trees that Stradivari utilized for his violins were especially hard because of moderate development. Hard timber is particularly acceptable when making violins. It is entirely likely that had Stradivari lived in an alternate age, his violins would not be prized as they are today. This image above is made of 3 covering photographs. It shows the rings in the tidy tree used to put the most on the mapped Stradivarius violin, the Savior. The primary line of numbers gives the width of each ring in millimeters. 1 millimeter is about the thickness of a fingernail. The base line gives the years where each ring developed. Number 7. Constantly moving. Fact: we are moving through space at the rate of 530 kilometers a second. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, is turning at a pace of 225 kilometers for each second. Also, the cosmic system is going through space at the pace of 305 kilometers for every second. This implies we are going at a complete speed of 530 kilometers, 330 miles, every second. That implies that in brief you are around 19,000 kilometers from where you were. Researchers don't all concur on the speed with which the Milky Way is voyaging. Gauges go from 130 to 1,000 kilometers per second. It ought to be said that Einstein's hypothesis of relativity, the speed of any article through space, isn't important. Number 6. Farewell old friend. Fact: the moon is drifting away from Earth. Every year the moon moves about 3.8 centimeters further away from the Earth. This is caused by tidal effects. Consequently, the Earth is slowing in rotation by about 0.002 seconds per day per century. Scientists do not know how the moon was created, but the generally accepted theory suggests that a large Mars-sized object hit the Earth, causing the moon to splinter off. Number 5. Ancient light. Fact: the light hitting the Earth right now is 30,000 years old. The vitality in the daylight we see today began in the center of the Sun 30,000 years back. It invested the majority of this energy going through the thick molecules that make the Sun, and only 8 minutes to contact us once it had left the Sun. The temperature at the center of the Sun is 13,600,000 kelvins. The entirety of the vitality created by combination in the center must go through numerous progressive layers to the Sun-oriented photosphere before it escapes into space as daylight or active vitality of particles. Number 4. Solar diet. Fact: the Sun loses up to 1 billion kilograms a second due to solar winds. Sun-based breezes are charged particles that are shot out from the upper surface of the Sun because of the high temperature of the crown, and the high dynamic vitality particles increase through a procedure that isn't surely known right now. Likewise, did you realize that one pinhead of the sun's vitality is sufficient to execute an individual a good ways off of 160 kilometers? Sourced from Planet Science. Number 3. The Big Dipper is not a constellation. Fact: the Big Dipper is not a constellation, it is an asterism. Numerous individuals believe the huge scoop to be a group of stars. Be that as it may, truth be told, it is an asterism. An asterism is an example of stars in the sky which isn't one of the authority 88 heavenly bodies. They are additionally made out of stars which are not genuinely identified with one another and can be immense separation separated. An asterism can be made out of stars from at least one heavenly bodies. On account of the Big Dipper, it is made totally out of the 7 most splendid stars in the Ursa Major, Great Bear, group of stars. Number 2. George's Star. Fact: Uranus was originally called George's Star. At the point when Sir William Herschel found Uranus in 1781, he was given the respect of naming it. He decided to name it Georgium Sidus, George's Star, after his new benefactor, King George III, Mad King George. This is the thing that he stated. In the remarkable periods of old occasions, the sobriquets of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn were given to the planets, just like the names of their head legends and divinities. In the current increasingly philosophical period, it would scarcely be permissible to have plan of action to a similar technique and call it Juno, Pallas, Apollo or Minerva, for a name to our new grand body. The primary thought of a specific occasion, or momentous occurrence, is by all accounts its order. If in any future age it ought to be asked, when this last discovered planet was found, it would be an extremely palatable response to state, in the rule of King George III. Uranus was likewise the principal planet to be found with the utilization of a telescope. Number 1. Extra moons. Fact: Earth has at least 4 moons. Alright, that isn't in reality evident, yet it is close. In 1986, Duncan Waldron found a space rock 5 kilometers over that is in an elliptic circle around the Sun with a time of upset for all intents and purposes indistinguishable from that of Earth. Therefore the planetoid and Earth seem, by all accounts, to be following one another. The intermittent planetoid is named Cruithne, articulated Crin Y, after an antiquated gathering of Scottish individuals, otherwise called the Picts. In view of its uncommon relationship with Earth, it is at times alluded to as Earth's subsequent moon. Cruithne is fainter than Pluto and would require at any rate a 12.5-inch reflecting telescope to endeavor to be seen. Since its disclosure, in any event, 3 other comparable space rocks have been found. These kinds of articles are additionally found in comparative connections to different planets in our solar system. In the picture above, civility of Paul Wiegert, the Earth is the blue hover with a cross in it, and Cruithne's circle is appeared in yellow.